All right, well, right at home, yes. I'm conflicted. I want to take us into a moment of gratitude, but open up our hearts and all that. Yeah. Well, here we are. And so let us have a moment of gratitude. Why? Because gratitude, it opens us up. It opens us up to God. It opens us up to the goodness. It opens us up to our infinite nature. It opens us up to our infinite reality. It opens us up to answers and to insight. So when we are taking and having a moment of gratitude, what we are doing is we're slowing our brain waves down. And we're getting past our intellectual gatekeeper. We're getting past that part of us that always wants to ask and wants to know why. So we're slowing our brain waves down, getting past our intellectual gatekeeper, so we can experience the infinite, so that instead of us desiring to ask why, once we've experienced the infinite, we start to ask how. And we're giving ourselves then the opportunity in our moment of gratitude to become aware that we are already immersed in and surrounded by this creative intelligence field. It's vast, it's wide, it's deep, it's infinite, it's eternal, it's forever and ever and ever. And this creative field, it receives the direct impress of how we feel. So we open our hearts then in our moment of gratitude to begin to feel love so that we can start to impress the creative substance with love, and we can start to impress it with gratitude, and we can start to impress it with joy, because the heart, it is an amplifier. It amplifies these feelings that we are experiencing. So as a result then, our heart opens up. And Ernest Holmes says, God speaks to the heart. So in a moment, I'm going to invite us all to drop into our hearts and to feel. And what I'm simply doing is asking you to put all of your attention and all of your energy in your heart area and to feel the emotions of the heart, to feel love, to feel joy, to feel relief, to feel gratitude, to open up. So it's a very, very mighty, short experience, a minute or two of intentionality. So don't let your body talk you out of it. We are literally changing our energy, changing ourselves in our moment of gratitude. So here we go. Let us all take a deep breath. And drop into our hearts. If you're so moved, you can put your hand over your heart. Bring all of your attention and all of your energy to your heart area and allow yourself to begin to feel the feelings of the heart. Allow yourself to feel gratitude, to feel joy, to feel relief, to feel love in your heart. Feel it. Allow yourself to feel this love. Find it within you and feel it. And this morning, in order that we might amplify this feeling of love, let me invite you to bring to mind and to heart someone or something that you love. And allow yourself to feel this love. Open up and let yourself feel this love inside of you, and feel this love all around you. Feel it. Feel it more. Open up. God speaks to an open heart. Open up. Feel this love that's in your heart. Find it, feel it, stay aware of it. Slowly then, let me begin to invite us to bring our attention and our awareness back, so full of love, aware of it within us and all around us, slowly bringing our attention and our awareness back. Come back. Feel yourself feeling supported by the seat that you are sitting in and grounded by your feet, for they are on holy ground. Come back. Come back. Let us all take a collective breath here. Yes. So our theme then this morning and for the month of March is Heal to Trust. And I have a few spiritual principles this morning that I'd like to read that's coming from Ernest Holmes and what we believe to help get us anchored in the message, help further anchor us in our message today and all of the messages that we've received today through song and through word, through prayer. You can do a search for Ernest Holmes online if you'd like to have a copy of what I'm reading this morning. But we're starting with spiritual principle number 1. It reads, we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. We believe this one manifests itself in and through all creation. That means you are its manifestation. Spiritual principle number 6. We believe in the unity of all life and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Spiritual principle number 4. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And finally, spiritual principle number 7. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that heaven is within us and that truth is revealed to those who live in close contact with the indwelling presence, who lives in close contact with the infinite presence, the infinite reality of our beingness. We believe that God's grace is sufficient to meet our every need. It's sufficient. This morning, I want to read a little bit from Practicing the Presence. This book is by Joel Goldsmith. If you don't know who Joel Goldsmith is, I would invite you to have a date with him. This morning, I'm reading from his book, Practicing the Presence. I'll be reading briefly from pages 106, 108, and 109. On page 106, Joel Goldsmith says that infinity is within us at this and at every moment. all spiritual wisdom, all divine grace, eternality and immortality, all of these are embodied within us at this time and at every single moment. He says, let us begin to show forth this infinity. On page 108, he says, true spiritual healing is not something that takes place in the body or in one's affairs. It takes place in the consciousness of the individual as the soul is opened. It is a regeneration more than it is a healing. Everything embraced within consciousness, body, business, home, responds as the soul is open to the light of truth and to the activity of God, acting as individual consciousness. Actually, he says, there's no spiritual healing apart from spiritual living. And there can be no spiritual living apart from the experience of God. God must be experienced. God must be communed with in your own inner being. The infinite invisible, which we call God, and our individual identity, which we call the son, this was written a long time ago, or the daughter, are one. Simply, God and I are one. It is within us that a point of contact must be made so that an absolute conviction of this divine presence can come to us. That conviction can only well up from within. As the Spirit of God fills us, we feel a sense of peace, a deep breath within us, a release as of a weight removed. And then we go about our normal daily life, serene, secure, resting in the bosom of the Father, because now God and I are one. He goes on to say that the miracle of spiritual teaching is not truth over error. It's not God over evil. It's not some great big God that does something to some even greater and more terrifying evil. A spiritual teaching is a revelation of God as infinite, individual being, as spirit, omnipotent, omniscience, omnipresence, besides which there is no other. In that realization, darkness disappears and light comes in. He says that God must be experienced. It must be experienced. In other words, we can't simply rely on our eyes and our ears and call that an experience of God. God must be experienced. If all you are doing is relying on your eyes and your ears, then you aren't experiencing God. What you are doing is you are speaking about perhaps someone else's experience of God. But Joel Goldsmith suggests that you and we must experience God for ourselves. And it's more than what you witness with your eyes. The eyes and ears, they will allow you to speak about something. But when you experience God, you come to trust something. And when you trust something, you got testimony. The eyes and ears can't testify. Only the heart. It's only the heart that can testify. Sometimes the eyes and the ears, they lie. But the heart, it never lies. And if you want to experience God, you got to drop into your heart and you've got to trust, because trust leads to testimony. And once you've experienced God, you're going to want to testify. Once you experience God, you're going to want to experience God again. Once you've experienced moving beyond yourself, once you've moved beyond people, places, and things, and it's just here for the soul experience of God itself, the experience of love itself, the experience of joy itself, you will have a testimony. But don't count on your eyes and your ears to lend to that which you have come to testify. See, the thing about testimony is this: the testimony is for the one who testifies. When I was a little girl and I would go to church and people would be testifying, they'd be shouting and testifying. I thought testimony was for the people who was there in the audience to witness it. No, but true testimony is for the one who testifies. Tell your neighbor, testimony is for you. Your testimony is for you. Our theme for March is healed to trust. Our movement is from an untrusting heart to a trusting heart. And our theme, it invites us to begin then to trust our sacred heart and to begin to trust our loving heart. Our movement is from an untrusting heart to a trusting heart. Why? Because your heart is where God lives. What did Marilyn say? Closer than hands and feet? Closer than my breathing? Why? Because God lives in the heart. Why must we begin to learn to trust our heart? Well, because your heart is where creation happens. The heart is our creative center. It's where creation, it's where true creation happens. And it is then the trusting heart and the healed heart that creates the best. Why is it that it is a trusting heart and a healed heart that creates the best? Because a healed heart and a trusting heart is clear. It's very clear. It has a great capacity to be clear, so that when you're praying, that you're always praying for the highest and the best. For all. Y'all missed that one. I'm going to give it to you again. A trusting heart, a healed heart. It's prayer. It's for the highest and best for all. For all. Everybody, everything. For all. That's why we must learn to trust our hearts, to have the great capacity to be able to pray for the highest and the best for all, so that we can create intelligently, as Ernest Holmes says. And creating intelligently is our ability then to create a new version of ourselves. And without a trusting heart and a healed heart, instead of creating a new version of yourself, you're just creating a recycled version of yourself. And if you want to know the difference between whether you are creating a recycled version of yourself or a new version of yourself, all you have to do is check in with yourself to see whether or not you are trusting your heart. A recycled version of you is not trusting. A recycled version of you can't make the distinction between you and the new you. You have to be willing to answer the question, how trusting are you? See, the new version of you, it's got testimony. The recycled version of you, it ain't got no testimony. It ain't got no testimony. It's got a whole bunch of stories. The recycled version of you, it might just be relying on your ears and your eyes. And sometimes your ears and your eyes, they lie. So you got to be able to make the distinction. Is this just a recycled version of me? How trusting am I of God? And if I'm trusting of God, then I'm trusting of myself, because God and I are one. A trusting heart has a testimony. You want to know whether it's a recycled version of you or not, then give your testimony. You ain't got no testimony. If you can't testify, closer than my breathing, closer than my hands and my feet. Testimony. Sing and dance in me. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Testimony. God and I are one. Testimony. I don't just want the highest and best for me. I want the highest and best for you. Testimony. So, why must we learn to trust our hearts? Well, neurologically speaking, or the neuroscientists would say that every time you play a painful memory, or you replay a painful experience that leads you to an untrusting heart, that your body releases the same stress chemical as if it's happening right now. We call that justification. It's an opportunity then for you to justify your broken heart rather than heal your broken heart. And 2 weeks ago, I said don't get stuck in your past lest you become your past. It wasn't just some poetic words. Because if you stay there, your body will become addicted to your past and the feelings of the past. So if we're going to, as I said a couple weeks ago, if we're going to trust our hearts, then we'd have to be willing to accept that the past is over. The past is over. And not only do we have to accept that the past is over, we also have to be willing to leave the past behind. Tell your neighbor, leave the past behind. Tell your other neighbor, because they need to hear it too. Leave your past behind. I'm not suggesting that that we should just get over things. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I am suggesting is that if we are going to experience God, if God must be experienced, you have to be willing to leave the past behind so that you can open up to the infinite, so that you can open up to the infinite reality, so you can open up to the truth, so that you can begin to trust God. So, because when you trust God, you got testimony, and true testimony is a derivative of trust in God and in yourself. A true derivative of testimony is trust. And many of us, we are waiting on our past to give us permission to live. You don't need permission to live. You don't need permission to pray. You don't need permission to love. You don't need permission to live in joy. You don't need permission to live in peace. You don't need permission to live in abundance. You don't need permission to live your best life. Your past ain't got to give you permission to do nothing. You don't need permission. You don't need to be given the privilege to experience joy, to experience peace. You don't need permission to experience God. All you got to do is accept that the past is over and be willing to leave the past behind. You don't need permission. You don't need permission. I don't need permission to experience more love and more joy and more peace, to feel more whole. I don't need permission. You don't need permission to be who you really and truly are. You don't need permission to delve into the infinite experience of love and God expressing as you. You don't need permission to affirm and declare that I'm whole, perfect, and complete. You don't need permission from your mama, from your daddy, from your friends. You don't need permission. You don't need permission. We're not waiting on permission. I'm not waiting on permission to love. I'm not waiting on permission to experience joy. I'm not waiting on permission to dance if I want to dance. I'm not waiting on permission to sing if I want to sing. I've been singing all year. I'm not waiting on permission. I got testimony. I experienced God, and I want everybody to experience God. I want everybody to experience goodness. But if we want to experience this, if we want to experience this good that I'm talking about, this good has got to come through. If this good is to come to you, this good must come through you. This goodness that I'm talking about, this love, this joy, this peace, it's not something that'll be given to you. You already have it within you. So in order for this good, for us to experience this good, we've got to allow this good to come through us. If the good you want to experience, if you haven't experienced it, if you want this, then you've got to allow it to come through you. It's not something that's given to you. Yeah? In the Bible, or shall I say, the Bible is made up of two books. It's made up of the Old Testament and the New Testament. And in the New Testament, the first 4 books of the Testament, they call that the Gospels. But the Gospels then become the Gospels. Y'all know what Gospels is? Y'all know what the gospel means? The truth, the good news, the truth. But the Gospels then become Gospels until the disciples experience God. They was with, as the story goes, they was with Jesus for 3 years. Jesus died. The Gospels was created. Testimony. I don't think y'all got it. I'm going to give it to y'all again. Testimony is derived from trust and truth. And testimony and Gospels, the Gospels were not written until the disciples had some testimony to tell. Y'all with me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 3 years, they say, Jesus had the experience of the unfoldment of the divine within, healing, praying, testifying, changing lives, feeding the hungry, raising the dead. They saw it with their eyes and their ears, but it wasn't quite gospel yet. They didn't know it for themselves yet. They witnessed it with their eyes and their ears. Jesus died. Gospel. They began to have an experience, the same experience that Jesus was having for themselves. They didn't need no permission. They had an experience of God. Their experience of God was permission. What testimony do you have this morning? What testimony do you have this morning about the goodness of God expressing in you and through you? What testimony do you have about life, about how life has been so good to you? What testimony do you have about how good people have been to you? What testimony do you have where God made a way out of no way? What testimony do you have where you can declare and decree that I don't need your permission to feel whole and to declare my perfection and my completeness? I don't need your permission. I'm already whole. I'm already complete. The perfection of God is flowing through me now. Heal to trust. Testimony. The testimony is for you, not for me. I get to witness it with my ears and my eyes, but it's for you. When you're alone at home, you might want to testify. Ain't nobody watching. I don't usually give homework, but I got homework for us this week. Check in. Remind yourself, past is over. And be willing to check in with yourself to see whether or not you are willing to leave the past behind. Let us drop into our hearts again. This love that we experienced this morning in our hearts is still here. It's amplified. Find it within yourself and feel it. Be grateful for it. Don't let your body talk you out of it. It's your testimony. Find it. Feel it. It's love. Feel it within you. And all around you. Feel it. As you feel this love and allow it to become so amplified, so real to you, a real experience of the divinity within. Affirm to yourself, the past is over. Affirm and know that all the universe is conspiring as you become willing to leave the past behind. This love that you're feeling right now, it's sufficient. It's sufficient. As we leave the past behind, you ain't got to know how. And you sure don't have to know why. Feel it. It's love. Find it in you. Stay aware of it. It's your testimony. Slowly then, let us begin to bring our attention and our awareness back. Slowly coming back. Slowly come back. Feeling yourself supported in your seat and grounded by your feet. And so it is. And so as we journey on then throughout our week, let me remind you that God is to be experienced. And you don't need permission from your past to experience love and to experience joy and to experience peace. You don't need permission from your past to sing and dance if you want to. And so it is.